American Challenge, bringing you the transcribed story of the unsung heroes of the Second World War. Those sturdy, stalwart lads from every corner of the globe who fly the bombers to Britain. Elliot Lewis is starred as the cynical American ace who, after seeing the horrors of the London bombings, dedicates his life to the fight for freedom. Across the bleak, forbidding North Atlantic they fly, stalwart, courageous, a new kind of soldier of fortune, those pilots who ferry the giant bombers from America to Britain. Death is ever the challenge from the moment they take off from that giant runway. And as we stand now in the cold, snow-swept drift of the Newfoundland base, we wonder about these men, and one in particular catches our eye. He is the most typical American of them all. As tall and rugged-looking, he climbs into the giant bomber. Bob Harvey's story had started long before, when he was stunt pilot for a motion picture studio, making one of those epic stories of aviation in a little village in the interior of Mexico. The movie company cameras were set up. Natives waited expectantly off to his side, while the motion picture director talked to Harvey as he climbs into the cockpit to start his hazardous stunt.
Now look, Harvey, this time the cameras are going to start grinding when you go into your power dive and crash your plane alongside the left bank of that terrain.
Okay, Captain Bly. You just remember to have an envelope of greenbacks when I step out of that crash, because I've got a date with a mighty pretty senorita down in Guadalajara.
You better watch out on this bank on the crash, or the gay senorita will be strewing a funeral wreath over that ugly pan of yours. All right, Harvey, take her away.
All right, but don't forget my dough.
That guy doesn't seem to care whether he comes down dead or alive.
That's why he's one of the greatest stunt pilots in the business. Get your cameras set. He's starting to come down. Turn him over. Here he comes.
This is one time the Romeo of the airlines is not going to miss.
He better.
We better get an ambulance.
Ambulance, my eye. Don't you know they can't kill that madman? Send those extras shouting at him.
All right, come on.
All right, cut. Come on.
How's my profile? file on that shot, boss.
You're a cool one, Harvey.
Now look me up in Guadalajara in about an hour. You won't find me so cool. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, by the way, where's my dough?
That's coming up. Oh, look, Bob, will you fly my cameraman into town?
What, in that old rattle trap? Why, every time it rains, the motor stops.
We've only 3 good planes, and they're all filled.
Okay. I'll not have his life on my hands, though. If we hit a storm, I'm bailing out.
Okay. Halt! You can fly to town with Harvey. There's enough room for you and your camera.
Hurry up, my boy. I got a slow-eyed senorita waiting for me.
Okay, Harvey.
I'll follow. Strong heart. See you in Guadalajara. Yep. Great country to bail out in. They never find you here.
Gee, nothing seems to bother you, though.
Al, I fly best for who pays me most. And when my number's up, they'll call for me in a tailspin. Uh-oh.
Huh?
Looks like we're heading into some storm clouds.
Storm clouds? Well, what are we going to do?
From over here, it looks like we're going to have to bail out just before we hit them.
Bail out?
Yep, because the minute this motor gets wet, she just stops. You better tighten on your chute. Look, kid, when you go over, count 10, then yank that cord. I'll follow you. Boy, she's heading here and fast. Well, looks like we're going to do our planned dance floating down. You ready?
No, I can't make it, Harvey.
What do you mean you can't make it? You got to bail out, kid.
No, I can't.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, now we're running short of gas. We're going to have to land or we'll be floating out to the ocean. Look, pal, strap yourself in, and when I hit, relax. I say, looks like a village down there. Okay, here we go. Look, Holt, I'm not blaming you, but there's a senorita waiting for me in Guadalajara. She was awful pretty.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry, Harvey. Really, I am. I guess I lost my nerve.
Forget it, Holt, forget it. There, bartender, another drink for the senoritas, all of them.
Hey, what about the senores?
Oh, what about them? Hey, look, Holt, get your director on the phone. Tell him I need some more dough. Gotta keep this party going, you know.
Well, we're in Padre Quino, 60 miles from the nearest telephone.
Let's go home.
But how can we, Harvey? We haven't any fuel.
Just wish upon a star, pal. I'll get you home.
Yeah, but how?
We'll both inhale deeply. That'll do it. Well, so now I'm skywriting. Isn't one thing, it's another. This is the free life.
Harvey?
Now, what's that?
Look, Harvey, from down here, that looks beautiful. But when you skywrite for challenge, you spell correctly, get it? Challenge has 2 L's in it.
Listen, pal, why don't you form a personality club and hit yourself over the head with it?
You're fired.
What a coincidence. I was just quitting. Look, lady, here's a thrill you didn't pay for.
Oh.
I'll show you how to make 50,000 people watching a football game perspire. I'm going to swoop down and tackle the guy carrying the ball. Hold on to your diet. Here we go.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes, sir?
The Aeronautics Board has decided to revoke your pilot's license for a period of 6 months for stunt flying over a football crowd at the Grand Stadium.
But if you take that away, you take away my living.
Yeah, you should have considered that when you were endangering the lives of so many thousand people.
Endangering their lives. Why, I
That'll
can
be all, Mr. Harvey. You can appear at this office at the expiration of the 6 months period.
Hello, Sloppy.
Oh, Bob. Kind of early for your usual nightcap, ain't it?
Fade the monologue and keep setting up the double scotch and sodas every 5 minutes. And on the beam.
Hiya, Bugsy.
Oh, hello, Breezy.
Well, baby, I'm on the way.
On your way where?
I'm on the way to Newfoundland. I signed up to fly those bombers to England.
No kidding?
Yep. They're going to take regular squadrons of them across the North Atlantic. And, boy, let me tell you, they're really big.
Don't tell me. I tested.
Well, so have I. But the new ones are like a 3-story building.
You mean those big 4-engine jobs?
Right. Say, fill them up, Sloppy. Only this time put a head on that double scotch.
That makes a head apiece.
Oh, pipe down, Gargantua. What are you doing, Bob?
Well, from now on, I'll be doing nothing. The Aeronautics Board suspended me for 6 months.
Ah, making love to gals in the stratosphere, eh?
It isn't that funny, pal.
Yeah, I know. Hey, why don't you go along with me up to Canada? They're paying pilots $1,000 a month besides expenses.
Huh?
And they haven't got a better man up there than you.
Oh, but how can I do it? I'm suspended.
I don't think they'd be too worried about that, as long as you can fly, and, brother, you can.
Yeah, that's right. Breezy, what do you say, $1,000 a month and you see the big show besides? When do we start?
As soon as I finish this double scotch.
Hello. Rene, what are you doing at my booth? I don't take me to Good morning, boys. Hey, Florence Nightingale, pipe down.
Oh, shut up. Oh, good morning, Captain Bartlett.
Good morning, Sven. Men, I'd like you to meet 4 new volunteers for the Bombers to England Squadron. Robert Harvey here hails from California. Wilberforce Parker from South Dakota.
If it's all the same, Captain, I go by the handle of Breezy.
Sorry, Breezy. I've evoked a ghost in the name of Wilberforce. The 3rd pilot is Clayton Pike from Vancouver. And here's Luis Emilio from Mexico City. Now, if you men will take your places, we'll get over our speech-making and move out to the flying field. Men, although you fly here as contract civilians, I'd like you to feel that you're flying these bombers across the North Atlantic to Britain because you believe in the cause for which the British Empire is so valiantly fighting. When you span the vast solitude of the Atlantic, when you find yourself on a mission so close to death and yet so full of the meaning of living, I know you'll find the meaning of freedom, the answer to what the British Empire is fighting to preserve. I guess we should leave the making of speeches to diplomats and stick to our flying. While we're all assembled, I'll explain our method of identifying ourselves to each other. Each one of you will be given a Very pistol with a combination of variously colored flares, which should be changed at hourly intervals. You'll receive a secret code number, which is also to be changed hourly. This, of course, is done to prevent a German plane, ship, or radio station from passing itself off as British by code of flare. Before each flight, pilots will be given a weather report and will assemble here to discuss the flight plan and route. That's all for now. Oh, yes. Will Pilot Harvey report to me in my office immediately? The rest of you are on your own until called. Harvey, I was glancing through your application report this morning. I noticed here you tested the big 4-engine consolidated B-24s in Burbank, California.
Yes, I did.
Good Lord, man, what are you doing here? What I meant to say was, how did they ever let you get away? Good test pilots are still a pretty rare commodity.
That's not the way I heard it. There are a dime a dozen out my way, and good.
Harvey, I was in the last World War, and I flew with some of your American pilots.
Oh?
You know what it is they've got? It isn't only nerve, it's complete confidence that they can't lose. That isn't what I asked you over for. We're flying for the first time the new consolidated B-24s. As you know, Harvey, flying the Atlantic is a little different from anything you've done before. The overland pilots fly on radio beams. They aren't supposed to know navigation by sun and stars. But flying these big ships at night over the northern route across the Atlantic Sea is done entirely by dead reckoning. There are no radio beams to guide us.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that, Captain Bartlett. See, I studied star navigation under a man who could spot Polaris, Arcturus, Pollux, and Sirius in a tornado. My father was professor of astronomy at Caltech.
Well, that being the case, you're about ready to shove off with the first flight.
That's why I came up. The sooner I get a whiff of that pond, the better.
There's a flight in 48 hours. I'm leading it myself. How would you like to wheel a B-24 across the runway to England?
I'm ready whenever that go is.
Very well. You're pilot of plane 3.
Great.
There's not much to be offered in entertainment while you're here. They're showing a G-Naught picture tonight from squad headquarters.
Well, if it's all the same with you, Captain, I'd like permission to go into town.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there was a rather attractive little stewardess on the plane coming up, and, well, she reminded me so much of a favorite sister of mine that I...
Oh, yes. Yes, I know what you mean. Well, we'll see you later.
Yeah, I picked a great morning to cross the Atlantic. I'm freezing to death.
Well, you ought to. Look at the outfit you've got on. A sport coat, tweed slacks, and a pair of Texas cow boots.
I almost got that down under his beaver hat in that poker game last night.
Really?
Oh, morning,
Captain.
Captain.
Have your weather reports?
Oh, what does it say about Hetty Lamar?
Men, we're going to try to stay in formation if we can. We take off at minute intervals, and at 2,000 feet we level off, flying in a wide echelon formation. I want you to watch the tail lights of my plane, and remember the gasoline in the 6 tanks must be kept equally distributed to keep the balance of the plane. Well, that's it. Thumbs up, lads. Good luck.
Same to you, Captain. We're on our way across the big pond. How does it feel?
Well, this is my 4th trip across as a navigator hobby, so it isn't exactly a new experience.
I see what you mean, pal. Hey, you're flying under the orders of the Royal Air Force, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a lieutenant in the Canadian Royal Air Force.
Me, I fly for the Greenbacks. Long may they wave. You know what I'm going to do when I get to London? I'll head right for Bond Street and get myself the finest tweed money can buy.
You seem to be forgetting there's a war going on.
That war's been going on ever since I was a kid. First this guy wins and that guy loses. Then that guy wins and this guy loses. The only guy that never loses is the guy that gets those greenbacks. I've always made them, and chum, I've really lived. I've had fun. Uh-oh. It's like we're heading into a cloud bank. Here's where we lose each other. I'm going to nose her up, Allison, so get your oxygen mask on. Performs, doesn't she, pal? I'll set you down in England in record time. Say, tell me, do any of the boys that fly these ships across lose their nerve?
Oh, yes? Yes, there have been a few. They quietly disappeared.
I'll bet they always manage to get back to Canada and collect their paycheck.
You know, I don't understand you, Harvey. This all seems to be one grand lark to you.
Oh, what's it supposed to be, a Sunday school session?
You don't seem to realize that people are dying, and many of them civilians, far removed from actual combat.
Yeah, sounds like a familiar theme song. There were a couple of million civilians in the last war before they put a uniform on them. What about them?
Well, at least they had a gun, something to defend themselves. I flew over Coventry 2 days after it was bombed. German planes pounded that city for 12 hours. Why, in hospital, ceilings were blown away and helpless patients lay there in their beds looking up at these bombers bringing death and destruction.
Allison, since the beginning of the world, man destroyed man. It'll go on till the end of time. Hey, look at that sight. I never saw anything like it. That's like flying to the end of the world.
Okay, what's that?
That engine's starting to miss.
Don't you think we'd better turn back?
If it'll take us back, it'll take us there. Besides, we're halfway across the Atlantic.
What are you going to do?
Well, I think I'll give George, the automatic gyro pilot, a little rest and handle it myself. You keep checking and logging the instruments. I have an idea what's troubling Big Bertha here.
What are you planning to do?
I'm going to nose her down and skim those waves. Kindly light now, Allison. That was a close call.
Well, to be truthful, I already said my prayers. What was wrong, Harvey?
I wasn't sure, but I suspected the number 2 tank wasn't distributing into the carburetor, and the plane started to get side-empty. So I shut off the other 5 tanks, gunned her, and had her drain off the tank, too. When I came out of the dive, she'd used up enough to level off.
Harvey, you're a miracle man.
Well, sonny boy, I'll tell you what it is. I always fly with a prayer inside of me instead of on my lips.
We've been flying 9 hours, 37 minutes, so we can't be very far from England. And it's just time to open the wireless for a message.
Reporting from position 26. Reporting from position 26. Word has been received that the German air fleet is bombing the ports of Plymouth and Portsmouth. This is one of the most deadly and daring attacks to date. Report to your alternate bases. Position 26 going off now. Position 26 going off now.
Well, it's like another one of those big shows we're on. Don't you think you ought to change your course, Harvey?
Well, I've got a notion I'd like to witness this, Harvey.
We're getting your orders, Harvey. We're told to land at the alternate base of 26. That's 60 miles above London.
You're forgetting that I'm not in the RAF. Hey, look over there. Look at that hurricane chase that Stuka into the sea. Oh, he's in trouble. 3 of them are on him now. He's going to dive, but he's diving too fast. He'll never come out of it. And those Jerrys are right on his tail, machine gunning him into the sea. Banker! Banker, you fool! What are you doing? What are you doing? Pal, I'm going to do my good turn today. I'm going to take those guys back home.
You can't do that. We have orders to land this bomber in Britain. We're not combat flyers.
Now, you just go back to that cot and lie down, will you? When I start coming at those guys, they'll think the whole RAF is after them.
But, Harvey, you can't fight without pursuit ships.
I'll fight them without. Well, it doesn't matter now. They got him. There he goes into the sea. Okay, we'll head for the alternate base. I better climb up so we won't be meeting 1,000 Jerrys going home. Waiter, 2 more cocktails, please. Well, Brother Allison had told me he had such a charming sister, I'd have landed in London 2 hours earlier.
Are you sure it isn't the uniform of the Woman's Home Guard that attracts you?
Oh, so that's what that uniform is. I was wondering about it. Something like our Girl Scouts, huh?
No, it's quite different. You see, over here, we're dealing with life and death every hour of the day.
Well, you really take your work seriously, don't you?
You don't understand, Mr. Harvey. There's a war going on here. Women and children are being murdered.
Yeah. I saw some of those craters those bombs dug up. Yet it's all kind of hard to believe with people going about their business, shopping, working. Seems more like an excavating crew was out there working on a new project. Oh, what's that? Practice fire drill?
Oh, good heavens. They've come 2 hours earlier. Why, it wasn't even black out yet.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Oh, let's get out of here. I have to report to my station.
I'm going with you.
If you are, you better forget the wisecrack. You will when you see what I've been seeing. Come on. She may still be alive.
Stand back. I'll pull that wall down to get her out.
I'm afraid it's too late.
Oh, Mary.
Here, let me help you, mister.
Oh, I was walking with my wife. She's disappeared. She's gone.
Easy, old man. Here, sit down. I can't believe it.
What did you say?
Nothing. What do we do now?
I'd better go right back to my first aid station. They'll be bringing them in there by the hundreds.
I'll go along with you. There ought to be a spot there for an able-bodied man.
It's a pretty grim picture, isn't it, Bob?
I never realized that in such a short time they could destroy so much.
Let's hurry. The first aid station is 2 blocks north.
Look, Iris, you've been going at this thing for 2 hours. Why don't you rest?
You've been going twice as strong yourself.
Yeah, but I'm tough. I could carry them from here to Newfoundland, but you don't...
No, we've got to go on.
Iris, Tom!
Yes?
Allison, where have you been?
I've been looking all over London for you.
Yeah?
We just got orders to fly those bombers away from our London base over to the Manchester airfield.
Why?
I don't know. Probably the enemy has discovered the location of the London airport. We've got to get out of here.
Okay, I'm ready.
Good luck, Bob. Take care of yourself.
I'll be back, Iris. I'll be back a lot of times. You know, Allison, this is the kind of a war I never dreamed of. I used to read about these things, and it wouldn't get very close to me. But look at it. Whole cities burning up and a lot of innocent people being fried to death. For what?
They've been baptized by fire a number of times. It'll take more than this kind of fire to sear their hearts. There'll be a lot of cities smoldering in the dawn tomorrow, but you'll find no weeping.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm beginning to get onto this thing. Back home, they kept talking about the pioneers of the old frontier days. Man, down there are the pioneers of a new frontier.
We're approaching the field, Harvey.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that we're going to rediscover the world right here on an island that wouldn't fit in the curve of my home state. A place that looks like a pot of fire from up here. I think the one up there in the heavens, the one I've been praying to, knows what it's all about. You know, it's just come to me. He's been trying to make me realize what it's all about for a long time.
You'd better start setting her down, Harvey.
Yeah. I'll set her down. I'll set down 100 of these babies before I'm through. I get what Captain Bartlett was saying.
You only find the meaning of life when you're close to death.
I guess that's what those people down there are thinking. These things we've guided our lives by are really worth fighting for. We must never quit.
Bomber 3 coming in. Bomber 3 coming in.
And so these sturdy, rugged youths answer this challenge gallantly, as do those other hundreds of thousands of young men who battle against aggression in the four corners of the earth. Through the ages, the fight for freedom goes on, and throughout the last 2 centuries, America has ever carried high the beacon light of liberty for all men. May America's destiny continue to be that of a courageous leader for those who still grope toward that most precious of all possessions, liberty. transcribed episode of The American Challenge was written by John Slott and directed by J. Donald Wilson. Original musical score was composed and conducted by Felix Mills.